Hello, and welcome back to Crit and Crit. I'm Sid,
I'm Maxon.
and we are continuing our discussion of the Brothers Grimm Rumpelstiltskin while we play through Mario Adventure. So, as one might expect when it comes to fairy tales, we've said this a million times, they're not especially complex tales, with the exception of, say, the Snow Queen. For the most part, we're going to get in, get out, tell the kids to go to sleep, and learn a lesson. And I think in this case we have multiple instances of the same lesson not really being learned by the characters, and that lesson is hubris. Or more specifically, why you should not demonstrate hubris. Nexian, are you familiar? I hope so, because we've talked about it a lot.
With the concept of hubris, yeah.
Alright, go ahead.
Hubris is... Well, since we mentioned the deadly sins in a prior episode, hubris is strongly related to the sin of pride, but specifically it is I'm drawing a blank now on what I was gonna say.
Do you want to tag back in?
Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, you could also say it's it's really seasonal when you think about it. Kind of summery. Because it's the pride that comes before a fall.
Yes, it's the form of pride that causes one to believe oneself to be infallible or to be unconcerned with consequences.
So, I'm going to sum this up in a single meme. I don't know what it's from, but it's that one anime thing. They're in like a plane or something. I am a genius! Oh no! That's hubris.
I know the one you're talking about, and I don't remember what it's from right now.
It doesn't matter. It sums it up extremely well.
It does.
But yeah, I'm pretty sure it came up in one of our Shakespeare's because, yeah. I've kind of lost track because we've done a fair bit of video at this point, and I know the deadly sins have come up multiple times because, surprise, surprise, when they become an extremely common motif of the Western world's most vocal faith, yeah, a lot of authors tend to pick up on the same themes, and the day we run out of stories that touch on the deadly sins is the day we basically stop having a channel.
I was about to say, it's the day we run out of stories.
But yeah, pride. Thinking that you're too big to fail, nothing can mess you up. But we've kind of done that at this point, so I can think of three instances if you count Mario right there, two instances in Rumpelstiltskin where hubris comes up. And neither of them have to do with the actual main character who has to figure out how to get out of these situations.
Yep. The first one is very easy. It's the father. The father bragging to the king about the amazing talent his daughter possesses that she doesn't actually possess. Granted, of course, that depends on which version of the story you're listening to or reading, and if that is actually something the father says and does, but we're going with the version that we read, which is one where he does.
Yep, the version I'm looking at right now. Now, it happened that he got into a conversation with the king, and to make an impression on him, he said, "My daughter can spin straw into gold."
Yep.
So, not a whole lot of room for misinterpretation there.
Yep. Why did he do it? To impress the king. And potentially to put his daughter in the eventual position she ended up in, where she would be able to garner the king's affections and eventually become queen. Because you can imagine that particular result ended up in a very sweet deal for the dad.
Maybe, maybe not. Like, we literally never see the dad again. For all we know, daughter had him put to death for putting her in this situation.
That is also a possibility. But, as you said, we don't know.
Yeah, I just still find it unusual that, like, we have a fairy tale where our main character is not the one who has to learn a lesson or anything. Like, even Snow Queen, where Gerda didn't do anything wrong, she still basically learned the lesson of, if you talk to crows, they will solve problems for you, and just be kind and pure, and the world will open itself up for you. Like, she still had to learn and do things. Our main character here does not, and it's basically she's just the pawn who happens to be in the right position of a few very prideful people.
Oh, you can... Wow, that was incredibly unintuitive. But now I know how to get through this section.
And I think the other example of hubris in Rumpelstiltskin is flagrantly obvious.
Yep. Rumpel himself dancing around in the forest, bragging about how he's going to get away with his scheme because there's no way the queen can guess my name.
Okay, so I've seen like maybe 3 clips of the show before I decided it's not for me, but I can basically only picture Rumpelstiltskin as like a chibied down Dio Brando. Because it says he's a little man, so he has to be short. But all I know is that it was me, Dio, so... Congratulations, I've ruined this fairy tale for you forever.
I was about to say, that's going to be the weirdest bit of crossover I've ever seen.
Oh, I'm sure I will one-up it at some point in the near future.
I'm sure you will.
I have no conscious plans to do so, but, well, you've planted the idea in my subconscious now. I will have to keep a lookout.
I didn't do anything! You did this to yourself.
Well, you just issued my brain a challenge of that's the weirdest thing, and I'm like, bet.
That's evil.
No, it's just my subconscious at this point.
No, the level is evil.
Okay. But yeah, like, Rumpelstiltskin basically has this whole thing won. And as is often the case with hubris, literally, the only thing he has to do to get everything he wants to walk away with the firstborn child of the queen, to get away with this scot-free, no one can find him, no one can stop him, he has to do one very simple thing. In fact, he has to do nothing. All he has to do is keep his mouth shut.
Oh, you mean the
5 minutes.
You mean the one thing that men in stories can't do? And often in real life.
Let's just say people, because I'm gonna be honest, in my line of work, it's just as often the girls as it is the boys.
I mean, fair.
Unless we're using men in the general mankind sense.
No, I was meaning men as in males, but yes.
But yeah, it's the simplest thing. All you have to do is nothing. Just sit there. Just sit there and calm down for 5 whole minutes.
Keep calm and do nothing.
Yeah. You can read a book. You can play on your phone. Actually, no, you'd probably text people that LOL, they don't know my name is Rumpelstiltskin, and then pop on his Insta and find it.
Well, that's why it's play on your phone and not browse the internet on your phone.
Yeah, like, point is, let's think of all the things that Rumpelstiltskin could be doing rather than saying, I'm so happy they don't know my name is Rumpelstiltskin, ha ha ha! He could do the dishes. He could weed his garden. I could keep this running joke going for a while, but it'll probably get real tired.
He could do exactly what he did with the whole dancing in the forest thing and just don't sing. Just dance.
He should just sing that's not my name song. And just not supply it. I'll link it to you and you'll probably get really annoyed.
Probably, yeah. That does tend to be how 50% of the time things go when you link me stuff.
You keep clicking on them.
Morbid curiosity. So yeah. And we see, with both of these examples, how their hubris, as is wont to be done in fantasy stories that are teaching a moral, result in their downfall. The father ends up with his daughter indebted to what is essentially a fairy creature. And the fairy creature, as you stated, loses what is essentially a impossible to lose game through his own hubris and stupidity.
Well, the king, who's kind of causing a lot of the issues by saying, "Oh, she can spin straw into gold," I would like.
Yeah, but
Doesn't really have any hubris there. Like, it's really strange because usually, like, you have the person with the highest status has the hubris and then is brought down to the level of everybody else. But no, he's just kind of there, and like him being a king is almost a plot device. It's just, okay, well, you said this, bet. Okay, well, you did it. Let's see if it's a fluke. Because I mean, I do live in a fairy tale kingdom. Maybe I should verify before I, sign everything away. He kind of, I think, crosses more over into greed than hubris.
Well, yeah, and the version of the story that I read explicitly said that. It's that the first one was, I want to prove that this thing is true, and if you're lying to me, I'm going to punish your father by executing you.
Not him, just you.
Which gets back into the whole women are the property of their father/husbands thing, which is always problematic. But old-timey fairy tale, what are you going to do?
Complain about it on the internet?
I mean, that is what we're here for. But, that aside, when she quote-unquote pulls it off the first time, it's not so much a fluke, or testing to see if it's a fluke. At least in the version I read, it outright said the king was so entranced by just how much gold he was seeing that he made her do it two more times before his greed was apparently satisfied and he was willing to offer her the position of queen in exchange for all the wealth that she had brought him. How do I keep landing in those tiny holes?
Hubris?
Not really, no. There's nothing really hubristic about it. Oops.
I know, I just thought it was funny.
I mean, if I was bragging about watch me get across this gap without screwing up a single time, then maybe, but...
Lego Batman says first try.
I still have never seen that movie.
I haven't either.
I've heard it's very fun.
You know why they really liked the Lego movie?
Why?
It was a blockbuster.
And I think that's a good place to call this one. What do you think?
Alright. That's fine by me. I'm talking in circles. See ya!
Next time.